7:45, Steve and Ted, and a few minutes ago you heard us talking live with Congressman Mike Pompeo and Wichita Bishop Carl Kemme in Washington, D.C. With us now with a little bit more on the Pope's visit is Dr. Josh Papsdorf, who is a Associate Professor of Theology at Newman University. Good morning, sir. Nice to have you with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
How do I address you? Doctor or
Josh.
Mr. Papsdorf? Josh is okay? Okay.
Any of those are fine.
Anything's okay. Hey, listen, the theology of this thing, take for some of us who may not be familiar with the Catholic Church and its structure, who was the first pope? How did this all come about?
Well, Catholics believe that St. Peter, one of the disciples of Jesus, was actually the first pope, and that there has been a transition that we can trace all the way from Peter in the first century down to Pope Francis today.
And the significance within the Catholic faith of this one person. What is the significance of the Pope?
Well, it's important for people to understand, right, that Catholics don't believe that everything that comes out of the Pope's mouth is something that we have to believe. Really what we believe is that God chooses the Pope as a person to lead the church, provide key leadership in teaching, and really kind of act as his representative in a way, but we also recognize that he's still a human being, just one who's been chosen for this special job, and we believe that God keeps him from committing any serious errors in terms of teaching faith and morals. And in general, we ought to take what he says and accept it, unless we have serious reasons for thinking we ought not to.
And yet there's a reverence for not only the Pope, but the Pope's position. I know people they feel very strongly about that, about the reverence that you have to show toward a Pope.
Yeah, that's certainly true, is that we always have an attitude of respect and towards the Pope. And I study church history as my area, and it's really amazing. Through the centuries, there have been some men who weren't really that great of men, but it is interesting when they are the Pope that they never actually officially teach something contrary to the tradition of the church. So it really is kind of miraculous when you look at the history of the thing.
With Pope Francis, of course, he's said some things that for some people they have been objectionable in relation to I guess the social aspects of what he believes or what he's saying. He politically taken a few hits, but is that unusual for a pope to come out and say things like that, like he's been saying?
Oh, no. I mean, popes have been involved in political turmoil for centuries. One of the interesting things about the reaction to Pope Francis is I think there's a couple things for people to keep in mind, right? One is it's like with all major figures, right, that different people are going to pick out different tidbits of what he says and really focus on that, and in some cases distort it. The other thing is, I think what you're seeing is that Pope Francis does not fall into the neat political categories of American politics, right? And so really, if you pick any party or any side, Pope Francis is going to hold positions that they're going to agree with and find attractive, and he's going to hold other positions that they're going to find much more challenging because he's not really rooted in politics. He's really rooted in the faith and really rooted in Scripture and the teaching of Christ.
The papacy has some very serious and impressive trappings, you might say, that go along with it, but this Pope seems to be saying, let's keep it humble. Let me have my own apartment over here in a hotel or whatever. He seems to be a guy I want to be just, he's a person of the people, I guess, huh?
Yeah, and I think that's really one of the things that draws people to him is this consistency between his teaching and what he lives out. It's the same thing I think that's behind, he'll speak out about what we would see as Republican issues and Democratic issues because he really sees all of those things as being connected in his faith, right? That the faith tells us to care both for the environment and for children and immigrants or the unborn or what have you.
All right. Hey, thanks for being with us this morning. We appreciate your comments this morning, sir.
It's been a pleasure being on your show, so thank you for having me.
Thank you. Dr. Josh Papsdorf, who is the Associate Professor of Theology at Newman University, and wanted to get a little background on the Pope and all that's going on there. There is certainly a lot of media coverage going on today and over the past few days with the Pope visiting the United States of America. Turning to some business news this morning. Survey of 1,000 Americans found that men spend nearly 3 hours shopping in stores per week, while women average